What's happening, Bills Mafia, NFL football fans, or avid fantasy football players like myself? Ryan Thomas here, live on the Thomas Take Sports Podcast for the Waiver Wire Week 6 Waiver Wire Fantasy Football Waiver Wire Week 6 Must-Adds Show. The title is not that long. It's the Fantasy Football Waiver Wire Week 6 Must-Adds to help you win your league. I got one ad in particular on this list that I believe will help you win your league in dominant fashion. Based on what I know this player is capable of and based on what I know the team will ask of this player for the remainder of the season. Let's start off with my number 5 waiver wire ad. I want to remind you guys, before I go into the waiver wire ads, if you're looking for more than just fantasy football discussion, you're looking for Buffalo Bills, of course. You're looking for combat sports, of course. You're looking for maybe a little bit of some Major League Baseball breakdowns in terms of what's going on this playoff, which has been wild and wacky. This slate so far, Max Fried gives up a bunch of runs today. Justin Verlander gives up a bunch of runs today. Nothing really makes sense when it comes to some of the stuff that's taking place with the Major League Baseball playoffs, but that's what makes it October. Sweet October indeed. The number 5 waiver wire week 6 must add for your fantasy team is Alec Pierce, wide receiver for the Indianapolis Colts. The last 2 weeks, we have seen an uptick in production from Alec Pierce. Week 1, 0. Week 2, 0. Week 3, 9 points in a point per reception PPR league. Half-point PPR league, but full point, obviously you'd be looking at a couple more points there, 10, 11, give or take. And then you're into the double digits these last couple weeks. Depending on your scoring, still double digits. Over 80 yards receiving in the last 2 weeks. 80 yards receiving against Tennessee. 81 yards receiving against Denver. And it appears as if Matt Ryan has found a consistent wide receiver that he can target outside of Michael Pittman Jr., who we know what he can do on the field. Pierce secured 8 of 9 targets this last week for 81 yards. The rookie had a team high in receptions for the game, receiving yardage, and target totals for the night. And keying in on Alec Pierce, 3 catches for 33 yards on what was the game-tying drive late in regulation. I think that there is plenty of reason to believe that Alec Pierce can continue to build off of this momentum. And if you're a wide receiver needy team, if you have some injuries at wideout, if you've had some inconsistency at wideout, or you simply need depth at this point heading into week 6 at the wide receiver position in a PPR league, maybe you went high on quarterback in your draft, maybe you went high on running back, Alec Pierce at wideout I think is somebody that is trending upward and somebody that you can rely on. This next Week 6 waiver wire edition is a polarizing player. I think he's as polarizing a player as it can get. Taysom Hill, a quarterback/tight end of the New Orleans Saints. Now, what makes Taysom Hill such an intriguing player to add is that Taysom Hill can be played at both, as I mentioned, quarterback and tight end. Depending on your fantasy league, you might be able to play him at both positions. Depending on your fantasy league, you only might be able to play him at one position. Regardless, Taysom Hill is a guy that you should go out and get for your bench because the production is there these last few weeks. And if it's there these last few weeks, I think that we will see Taysom Hill continue to get more opportunities with Andy Dalton in at quarterback in comparison to what we could expect from Jameis Winston. An offense led by Jameis Winston is one thing. An offense led by Andy Dalton is another. This week, Taysom Hill was phenomenal, rushing the football, 9 carries, 112 yards, and 3 touchdowns, over 30 points this week for your fantasy team. And I think the way that they have used him in New Orleans is something that they haven't even begun to touch, grasp the surface, scratch the surface is what I'm looking for. Scratch the surface terms of what he is capable of. So Taysom Hill is a very intriguing addition, my 4th rated addition for this week. Keeping consistent with quarterback's been a tricky one, this fantasy season. And I believe that quarterback is a position that you need to have a good backup. If you have one of the elite, that's one thing. But at any time, anybody can go down, and you need to have a good backup. I am of that thought when it comes to fantasy football. And a guy that has really had this career renaissance, he was dead to rights in terms of his future, and then a Russell Wilson trade took place between the Seahawks and the Denver Broncos, and it's a dead giveaway here. But the next one for me is Geno Smith. I really like what Geno Smith has done thus far this season. If you are in a league where you're not confident in your quarterback, maybe you got like Ryan Tannehill, maybe you got like one of those middle-of-the-road guys that just hasn't really wowed you, Geno Smith is willing to do one thing. He's willing to throw it deep, and he's got the guys to do it. Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf are 2 deep ball receivers. Metcalf, a big, strong wideout. Tyler Lockett, one of the fastest wideouts in the league. And I like what Pete Carroll has done to show that he trusts Geno moving the football down the field. Will Dissly has also been productive for Seattle these last few weeks. So you're looking to buy low on a quarterback. You're looking to take a chance on somebody. Maybe you have an injury. Maybe you aren't confident in Carson Wentz. Maybe your quarterback position is just not as strong as it usually is on a year-to-year basis, and Geno Smith is available. I say you go out and get him if you're in that position. Now, the top 2 Week 6 waiver wire ads are at fantasy football's most important position, in my personal opinion. I talk about it all the time when I talk about fantasy football. The running back position is extremely important. You can never have too many because running backs get hurt. Running backs are on the wrong side of 30. They're definitely going to get hurt. Running backs that have been known to get hurt, you need to get the backups. You need to get the guys that are there to make their opportunity, meet their opportunity. And there's 2 of them this week. And we've been waiting for these guys to scratch the surface here in their own right. Based on injuries taking place, that's when they have the opportunity to do that. The number 2 waiver wire addition this week is Eno Benjamin. James Conner is hurt. Damian Williams is out. He's hurt. I think Eno Benjamin did pretty well in the action that we saw this last week. The stats don't lie. The cuttability, the reliance on the run game from Cliff Kingsbury, it's still very important in this offense. So Eno Benjamin is going to get his touches. I think that's one of the characteristics of the running back position that we oftentimes question in the sense of this. Is that running back going to get the touches? Am I getting my return on my investment? Am I going out making a waiver claim for a running back that is just not going to get the touches? I don't think that's the case here with Eno Benjamin. I do believe he's going to get the touches necessary in order to give you a return on this waiver claim and fill a need potentially for you at the running back position. So the number 1 fantasy football waiver wire ad is, again, a running back, and he's a pretty damn good one. I'm in a lot of very different leagues. Some of them are carryover, some of them are keeper, some of them are dynasty. One of them is dynasty. And dynasty is interesting because you draft your full roster one year, and then the next year you're mostly drafting rookies. Those are the players that you want to target. And this player, a rookie player, was selected with the 3rd or 4th overall pick in the 2022 Thomas Take Sports Podcast Dynasty Draft by a good buddy of mine, Josh Rest. And Josh owning this player, I think, is crucial to his success, and starting him is even more crucial. Josh, you got to get him in your lineup. Might have to change your lineup a little bit too here and there, more often than you do. Come on, buddy. Make it happen. But jokes aside, my number 1 addition this week, and a guy that I think can potentially help you win your league moving forward, is Kenneth Walker, running back of the Seattle Seahawks. I don't think this one is much of a shock. I think we saw the ability, and we know the availability is the best version of reliability. And Rashad Penny is out for the year. The Seattle Seahawks announced that Rashad Penny is out. He's not coming back. The injury was brutal. Rashad Penny has been plagued with injuries his whole career. It was only a matter of time before it was the Kenneth Walker show in terms of the backfield of the Seattle Seahawks. And I think Kenneth Walker is probably the best running back that the Seattle Seahawks have had, talent-wise, since the days of Marshawn Lynch. And they actually drafted this one. They didn't go out and trade for him. They actually picked him. And Kenneth Walker is a guy that you see the game-breaking speed, you see the power, you see the elusiveness. I think he's going to be a great running back in this league for many years to come. And I think if you're in desperate need of a running back, you got to go out and get him. You got to try to go out and get him and make that happen. Because if you can go out and get him, he's going to really help you push the pace and win your league and be a stout contributor in an offense that loves to run the football. I think Pete Carroll is one of the few coaches in the NFL that wants to run a traditional style offense, run the ball, burn them deep, don't make too many mistakes, and really control the football. And Kenneth Walker is a great example of somebody that can do that. And listen, oftentimes I do love to target rookies, not just in a dynasty league, in any league, under any circumstance. I think rookies have more value in terms of if this team, let's just say the Seattle Seahawks drafting Kenneth Walker, let's just say the New York Jets drafting Breece Hall, teams that are going out and drafting running backs, those teams are going to use those players. Those players are going to get touches. Because oftentimes you don't go out and draft a running back and not use them. I think the Buffalo Bills are one of those teams as well that are going to start to use James Cook in the coming weeks, post his first touchdown this past week here against Pittsburgh. But there's a lot of good young running backs in this league. I don't care what anyone says. You still need to be able to run the football efficiently at some rate, at some point in the season. And I think Kenneth Walker could be one of those guys that from here on out, week 6 moving forward, could be a real big-time contributor for your fantasy football roster, for your fantasy football team, and for your championship hopes. So there you have it. Ryan Thomas here, the Thomas Take Sports Podcast. Those are my fantasy football waiver wire week 6 must-adds to help you win your league. Each and every Tuesday night, I should say, I will be back on to give you guys my waiver wire ads. So on waiver wire Wednesday or Thursday, whenever your league is set up for, whatever it's set up for, you'll know you can tune into this show on Tuesday night. I'll give you the information that you need as far as who you should add for your fantasy football lineup. Thank you so much for tuning in. Take care, and good luck the rest of the way. I know I won't need it.